Join us as we travel throughout the North Island of New Zealand. Amanda and I recently took an early retirement from the University of Otago. We chose to spend 6 months away in our Hymer Camper, exploring different parts of the North Island. So we're both in cruise mode and taking you along for the ride. You join us this episode driving into Lake Okareka, which is a dock camp just outside Lake Rotorua, perfectly placed for a view over the lake. This is the first dock camp we've stayed at for a while. We don't have a dock pass and usually take advantage of the Motorhome Association parks. But this is one of the advantages of travelling in the camper. If you find a nice place to stay, you can stop for a few nights. It was very fortunate for us to not have any jet skis or water skiers on the water. And this made it an ideal chance to get my little boat out that I keep on the back of the camper and try out some fishing. Got the boat down off the back of the camper, and here's my wee fishing boat. Pedal powered thing, or you can row it. I've got 2 oars down there, fed underneath to the back. Got a net, my fishing line. Down to the water line and drop her in. I chose this boat due to its short length, which can fit across the back of the camper. It's also not difficult for one person to manoeuvre the boat to the water. While it looks a bit small compared with a canoe on the water, it's perfectly fine for calm waters for fishing. Just have to row out a wee bit here. Oh, the sun's going down. Away we go, we're off. When you're pedalling, you can steer the boat using a small handle on the left hand side. Bit of a cliff that I'm coming up to here. We'll just go and have a wee investigate. The water's found its way right through there. Beautiful and clear, the water down below. Look at that. Gone right through. I can see the light coming out at the other end of the tunnel. The boat's a bit wide to fit down through there. The boat looks pretty small out there on the water compared with a canoe. But being able to get onto the water and have this as an option is pretty good when you're travelling around in the camper. Unfortunately, no fish for dinner tonight. We're at Lake Okareka for another night, and that's 2 nights we've spent here. It's a bit frosty last night. The temperature got down to 9 degrees inside this morning. And these ones staying in these tents must have been pretty cold. I bet they would have liked a nice warm camper, but they're young and into it. So we're on our way. It's time to pack up the toys. Just a fast motion of how I get the boat onto the back of the camper, which swings up onto 2 gate latches. That leaves enough room for me to put the bikes on the bottom. The whole process takes about 20 minutes, so not too bad. Haven't really had the boat down that much, so it's great to have it out.
Our Te pronunciation is a work in progress, so we're going to say goodbye to Lake Okareka, and we'll come back again sometime. It's beautiful here. It's a dock camp.
We're now heading back into Rotorua town to park at a car park right by the government gardens that is set up for visitors to the city. They say it's very well used even at this time of the year, so we've got to get there early, or at least before 12 o'clock, so that we can find a park. Took 20 minutes to pop back into Rotorua to the government gardens car park. These council-owned free parking areas bring people into the city and give it some vibrance and also add to the economy of the town. Make sure you've got a plan B, just in case you can't get in.
So they have some recycling here. We had to stay 2 nights. A nice big wide camper park. Rotorua welcomes you to this designated government gardens, motorhome and camping parking area. Within the inner city of Rotorua you will find an exciting array of experiences. So they're just telling you some of the places you can actually go. You need a self-containment warrant, be a responsible camper and respect the area. For those that are not self-contained, you're welcome to park here between 8 AM and 8 PM, so you won't be able to stay. And they've got all the waterfront things that you can do from this location, so you can go and visit and spend some money at Rotorua.
Sure enough, by the evening the camper van park filled up and remained this way from 12 o'clock on for the next 2 days.
I'm just going along to the government gardens. They've got a tour here at 11 o'clock.
We don't want to push the camera in the tour guide's face, we'll let Amanda fill you in on the details.
You may wonder why it's called the Government Gardens like I did, but our local tour guide Annie informed us that it was centrally controlled by central government and Rotorua didn't have any power over the running of it, so that's why it was called the Government Gardens. It was opened in the mid-1800s as a spa resort and carried on for probably 100 years, when in the 1960s it was turned into a nightclub for about 30 years. And in 1990 it housed the Rotorua Museum. It is currently closed due to earthquake and seismic strengthening, and they're hoping with the funding that they have available that it can reopen again in 2025. We'll be back to see it because it's truly magnificent.
Amanda will take you over to one of the first statues of interest.
So this statue here is to commemorate the Boer War 1899 to 1902, and there was only one soldier from Rotorua, Fred W. Wiley, who lost his life in the battle.
Now we're moving over to the Arawa statue.
Here we are in Government Gardens looking at the statue of Te Akatia. Te Akatia had 8 children, and they are all perched all around the monument at the foot of it. He had 7 sons and 1 daughter. So we've got a World War I memorial here to King George V from 1865-1936. He's standing on a pedestal engraved with GR for George Rex. One of the panels on the memorial is Governor Hobson signing the Treaty of Waitangi. The next layer down we have the military and the nursing.
Now we'll hop across to some very impressive mineral springs which feed the hot pools.
Here we are at Whanga Piporo, also known as the Rachel Springs. It's a boiling cauldron of silicon water which reaches 212 degrees Fahrenheit. It was named after a notorious English cosmetician who promised youthful complexions because of the softening effects of the silica water on the skin.
And finally over to the Blue Baths.
So here we are at the Blue Baths. This is a very historic building that was built in 1933 in Mediterranean style, and it was the first public swimming pool in the world to offer mixed bathing.
Unfortunately the baths were closed a couple of years ago due to the structural integrity of the building.
Dangerous area. So this is the cycle track we're doing, and dangerous area, hydrogen sulfide, steam and fragile ground, sulfur mounds, sulfur fires, hot pools, boiling water and mud.
So we did as we were told and stuck to the track, so we didn't come to any harm on the wee bikes. It's quite amazing that this is all free right beside the town.
Roa, the sulfur flats, and if we look out in the distance we can see the steam rising.
So this area here was mined for sulphur in the 1890s and then filled in during its use as a landfill. Many exotic plants grow from seeds and cuttings and dumped here. Recovering from a checkered history.
trail goes up to the Blue Lakes area, but we decided to opt out and go for a coffee instead.
And after many days now of the sun not really shining, we've finally got out on the bikes.
We've cracked it.
And made it for a nice coffee in the sun.
We've really enjoyed the Rotorua District Council's Freedom Camping area. It's a wee car park and there was 20 people in it and there was 20 spaces. Each night it was full, so it's a hop, skip and a jump to the town and Polynesian Spa the other way. Anyone that's got a motorhome, check it out. It's well worth it.
It's only one block to town really, 2 blocks walking. It takes you 5 minutes to walk along to the main street and then down to East Street, possibly another 5 or 10 minutes.
No problems at night, 20 people all looking after themselves and it was perfect.
We're heading up the road to Nagata, where there's a motorhome members car park. We need to go there because they've got a dump station and fresh water to fill back up. Benny can last about 4 days before we need to access services. So we're going to stay the night here before we head off down to our next destination. This is one of the bigger NZMCA parks. A lot of people like it because there's a large gravel area, so for those that are worried about losing traction in the grass when it's wet, they can park on the hard or on one of the grassed areas, whatever you prefer. We'll pop over to the club rooms and have a look at the Kiwi camp setup they've got here.
So this is the Kiwi Cash lockers for charging up bike batteries. There's a plug in there. You scan your Kiwi key on there and pay for your power.
Many of the NZMCA parks actually have these club rooms where members can meet with some entertainment, books, things like that. But what was a surprise to me was at the end of the club rooms. This is a vintage 1928 Rio Speedwagon. Club members spent 2.5 years restoring it to this state. And this is all part of this Kiwi Cash as well. There's a couple of these power stations here with 1, 2, 3, 4 power points on them, and campers can park here if they want their power. And again, they've got the boxes to swipe to pay for your power. While we haven't used the Kiwi camp facilities, I must admit they're a great idea. I've seen them in multiple places in the public areas as well. It gives campers the option. If they want the power, they can pay a little bit more. So we're on the road again, heading south.
Ah, you're leaving.
Yeah, quite cool actually. There's a wee village we discovered this time. There's still along here, nice coffee shop and a few shops to poke around in. And it's just a nice wee walk into the village.
We're off to Napier. We've heard the weather's pretty good down that way. They've had a lot of devastation with Cyclone Gabrielle that came through quite a few weeks ago. As we come down through this road that leads directly from Napier from Taupo, there was a lot of roadworks. It's really nice to see the amount of work that they've been doing to try and keep this road open. Under no estimation, it's a big job. Fortunately, we can take our time up through here and just wait at the stops. It's not a problem. Everybody was very friendly.
Through the Esk Valley. We've been through about 3 or 4 stop goes and there's just absolute devastation along the side of the road, trying to patch it up to keep it going.
This is nothing compared with the tragedy in Eskdale over the hill. Back on the 14th of February, the water came through here as the river bust its banks. Many farms were inundated and people's homes. People's lives were ruined. They were cut off from power, sewage treatment station, and it took them a long time to get the road open, while 70,000 residents were affected by the floods.
Oh, dirt everywhere where they've been trying to clear the ways into the houses.
I've slowed down the footage here so you just take in what happened to people's homes, what happened to people's lives. There was a lot of marketing in the whole valley, a lot of food, grapevines, Some people said they couldn't face going back to the area, while others fought on determinedly to clear out their houses from silt, water that had gone up to the roof line in some places. If you wonder why insurance premiums have gone up, this is a good example. But I really do hope those that want to move back can clear their land and get their houses rebuilt.
There's Wairoa that way, so that's the other way. Coming in this way.
Next episode, we're having a look around Napier and staying at 3 different locations. So do join us. We would love to have you along for the ride.